Hello, in this video I'm going to show you a little bit of a math trick you can do using Excel and Pinescript on the Tradingview platform for doing a simple scalping indicator. So essentially you're going to build a little bit of a math model to do your very own Pinescript indicator. So this is only really going to be applicable for Tradingview uses because that's the platform I'm using, Pinescript, to code the indicator. But you can take the principle and apply it to other platforms with other indicators. So you just will need to know how to program those separately. But for this video, I'm just going to use Pinescript and Excel. An alternative to Excel is OpenOffice, which is free, and you can download that online. And the functions are pretty much identical between Excel and TradingView. Excel and OpenOffice. So the functionality should remain relatively the same depending on which software you are using. So we're going to get into it. We're going to open up TradingView. We're going to go to the 1 hour. Now you can do this on any ticker. Right now I am doing SPY. Make sure we have regular trading hour sessions enabled. So on the 1 hour, we don't need a lot of data, so just a little bit, maybe a couple of months or even a year worth of data is fine. We're going to go to the drop down here. We're going to export chart data. I'm going to use ISO time just because that's my preference. Ensure that it says 60-minute. We're going to say OK. Okay, it's done. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go to our downloads. We are going to pull up this data, which is right here. TradingView exports a lot of data. I don't care about any of this. We're going to delete all of this. All we care about is the open, high, low, really. We can even delete close. We don't really care about the close, okay? So with that, we are going to go ahead and we are going to find the average move from open to high and from open to low, okay? So how we're going to do that is we're going to use a function in Excel. So first, let's call this high diff, and let's call this low diff. So now what we're going to do is we're going to use the sum function in Excel. We're going to take equals sum high, oops, wrong cell, high minus open. And then for the low diff, we're going to do the same thing, open minus low. And then we're going to have that drag down, okay? Okay, perfect. So this is actually a lot of data. This is what? Quite a few years of data. Okay. I actually don't want this amount of data. I want it to be relatively recently because as time progresses, sentiment changes. So let's go from December of last year, which was really not that long ago. And let's just take this most recent data. We're going to copy it. Let's open up a new sheet. Let's paste it over. Okay. So we have open, high, low, close, high diff, low diff. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take the averages. So what we want is we want high diff average and we want low diff average. So we're going to do the average function, bracket high diff. We're going to do the average function, bracket low diff. And there we go. Okay. So now what we're going to do is we're going to come back to TradingView. We're going to go to Pine Editor. And we're going to open up Pine Editor. And you see I've already put in something that we need, but I will do it with you just so you know. So what we need is, let's say this hour, okay, equals request security sm info.ticker ID. We're going to do the 60-minute candle because that's the data that we did. So we put in the 60-minute there. We do open look ahead equals rmerge.look ahead underscore on close bracket. Okay. So there we go. We're going to just change the script to, let's say, SPY hourly levels. we're going to comma, and we're going to do overlay equals true. This will allow our indicator to be placed over our chart, okay? So now what we're going to do is we're going to make a variable called high. We're going to say high equals this hour plus, what was our average? This hour plus our high diff is 1.029, so 1.03. 1.03. And our low is this hour minus, what was our low? 0.986, so 0.99. 0.99. Now we're going to use the plot function. So plot, we're going to plot high. We get to select our color, okay? So let's make high color equals color.green because it's bullish. And as a personal preference, I like to make my lines thick so I can actually see them. I'm pretty blind, so line width equals, I usually do 3, okay? We'll plot the low, plot LO, color equals color, it's bearish, so red, line width equals 3, okay? We're going to add that to our chart. And we're going to switch over to the 5-minute. Actually, the 1 minute. And we're going to take a look and look at this. See how this works? Boom, 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 boom. This is pretty good, right? This is pretty good on its own. But what we want is we want to we need a trigger. What is going to trigger us to, because we don't always hit both levels, right? Usually we really only hit one level at a time, okay? So we need to know like what level are we likely to hit, right? And you can use technical analysis like EMA indicators or whatever, but it's all a joke. I mean, in my opinion, technical analysis is a freaking joke. So what we're going to do is we're going to actually have Excel look for the conditions that lead to one of these being hit, right? So I trade based on conditions. I'm a quant trader. So how I trade is if this, then that, if this and that, then this, right? So we need to first identify what condition is being met in the stock trading history that leads to us hitting either the high or the low. And this exists. There are conditions that lead to this, right? So we need Excel to find those conditions. And so how we do that is we go back to our chart, okay? Now, to make Excel look for the conditions, we have to sort of tell it what we want, right? So we have to logically think about what condition we want it to look for. So first of all, what we need to know is out of all of these times, what level was hit? So was the high hit or was the low hit? Because without that information, Excel isn't really going to know what it needs to look for, okay? So the first thing that we have to do is we need to make a variable called high result and low result. And so what we want to know is in this hour, did it hit the high or did it hit the low? Or did it hit both? So how we're going to do that is we're going to do equals if high is greater than or equal to open plus the high diff 1.03. Then we're going to say the high result is true. Otherwise, we're going to say the high result is false. Okay. We're going to do the same for the low. So if low is less than or equal to open minus 0.99, then we're going to say that the low result was true. Otherwise, the low result was false. Okay. And we're going to just drag this down. Okay, so now we have Excel identifying the conditions that we know, right? So whether the high was hit or whether the low was hit. Now what we have to have Excel do is identify what condition leads to this result, right? So if the low result was hit, so if we hit this low result, what condition triggered us to know that we were going to hit the low result? So to do that, the most obvious thing that we can think of is, well, if we're hitting the low result and not the high result, then what was the max high? How high did we go, right? So then we can make a variable called max high. And if we hit the low, if we hit the high result, not the low result, well then how low did we go? So then we can make something called max low. And now what we have to do is we just have to tell Excel exactly what we want to know. So we want to know is if high, for the max high, if the low is true and the high is false, then what was the difference between the open and the high price? Okay, so to do that, we need to do if and. So if and, if low is true and high is false, then what was the difference between high minus open? Otherwise, we don't want to know, so we're just going to put 0. Okay, so this is the formula, if and this and this, then high minus open. Otherwise, we don't care. Okay, so it's going to say 0 because both were true. This hit both conditions. So this isn't going to be good to isolate what we want to know. And we're going to drag that down, and we'll see when the low is true and this is false, it will give us our information. Okay, now we're going to do the same for the low. If and high is true and low is false, then we want to know what open minus low is. Otherwise, we don't care. And we're going to go ahead and drag that down. Okay. So now what are we doing with this information? Well, what we need to do is we need to put that information into Pinescript. So max high and max low, right? So max high is going to be this hour plus, and max low is going to be this hour minus, okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to take the average of max high, and we're going to see that it's 0.11, okay? So we're going to put 0.11 here, and then we're going to go back to our chart, or our Excel, and we're going to do the average of the max low. We're going to see it's 0.11 again. Ooh, that's interesting. Okay, 0.11. Now we're going to plot these. So we're going to use a plot function, max high, color equals color what? What do we want to let's color it aqua. Line width, let's make it line width 2. And plot max low, color equals color whatever, orange, line width equals 2. Now we're going to add this to the chart. And let's see what happens. So essentially, when it breaks over these levels, it hits this green, and when it breaks below, it hits this red. Now, it doesn't always result in that, right? Like here, you would think that it would be a short. It wasn't. This would have been a stop out if you were following the rule. But you see, for the most part, these breaks lead to successful trades, right? So it broke over, held, you could long it to there. You know, broke over, it held, you could long it to there. Broke over, it held, you could long it to there. Broke under, held, you could short it to there. Broke under, held, you could short it to there. Yeah, it's pretty good, right? It's pretty good. So now that you've done that, we're just going to go ahead and save it. Call it whatever you want, SPY hourly levels, that's good. And you now can retrieve it from your indicator function. You can go to My Scripts, and you'll be able to retrieve it from My Scripts. And that is my quick little cheat for doing simple math-based indicator using Pinescript. Please like and comment below if you like this video, if you found it helpful, and trade safe, everyone.